Hello, and a warm welcome to Ecolomondo's first webinar in 2024, in which we will look at the company's trajectory and discuss its plans for the rest of the year. The introductory video you've just watched is only the tip of the iceberg. We will cover a lot more ground in today's discussions. I am Munir Barazi, your host for today. It's a privilege for us at Global One Media to collaborate with Ecolomondo and its CEO, Mr. Eliot Sorella, on this exciting event. As most of you know, Ecolomondo is a leading Canadian clean tech firm recognized for its innovative approach to recycling hydrocarbon waste, such as end-of-life tires, into valuable commodities. With over 25 years of industry experience, Ecolomondo has established itself as a front-runner in the circular economy, committed to reducing environmental impact while promoting sustainability. It is publicly traded on the TSX Venture Exchange as ECM and on the OTCQB as ECLMF. Before we start, a short risk disclaimer is in order. Kindly note that this event will contain forward-looking statements from Ecolomondo and that Global One Media is not a registered broker, dealer, or investment advisor, therefore serving only as a host to this event. As always, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available later for viewing on both Ecolomondo's website and Global One Media's YouTube channel. The links are provided in the chat box for your convenience. Moreover, recordings of Ecolomondo's previous webinars can be accessed on those same websites, offering insights into Ecolomondo's ongoing progress. This session should by no means be a one-way communication. It is meant to be a smart and collaborative conversation that involves inputs from attendees. Please feel free to leave your questions and comments in the chat box after the end of the presentation. We will do our best to address as many of them as time allows, giving priority to the more pressing ones. I would now like to welcome Mr. Eliot Sorella, Chairman and CEO of Ecolomondo, and invite him to start the conversation. Mr. Eliot, the floor is yours.
Munir, thank you very much. As usual, it's an honor to address the concerns of the shareholders as well as explain the direction that the company is taking and how we're going to move along going forward.
We've been really looking forward to this discussion today. We have so much to cover, so let me just get right into it. Let's go back a bit in the past. COVID ushered in a tough period of time for most startups. Would you like to shed some light on how it affected Ecolomondo's timeline and cost to build? How, in your opinion, did this affect your stock price?
We started building this plant in August 2019. COVID broke out on March 6th, 2020. So we built this plant right through COVID, 2.5 years of COVID. So like any other startup, things got to be very trying because we had labor shortage, we had the costs were increasing rampantly. So delays were created because we couldn't get certain supplies. So that created longevity. Investors like to invest in a company, and after a certain period of time, they want to see some return on their investment, and rightly so. I'm an investor. I invest to make money. So COVID created increased costs. It eroded some of the cushion. These increased costs eroded some of the cushion that we had built into our costing estimates. So everything that we did before COVID, not knowing that COVID was coming along, went out the window. So we had to reconfigure, we had to redo things a little different. So it was at the expense of time and at the expense of money. Initially, our stocks were doing very well. Then, as time went on, it took a little longer than anticipated. Uncertainty sets in. The economy right now started to be regressive. So people got impatient and it drove the stock price down. But it doesn't change the fact that no, in spite of the stock going down, Ecolomondo is still a great company that serves purpose.
Yeah, it was a turbulent time, and Ecolomondo has proven to be resilient thus far. There is positive news flow coming in. Ecolomondo has recently finalized the agreement to restructure its project financing loan with Export Development Canada, or EDC. On a second note, the company has recently converted almost $3.5 million worth of debt into equity from insiders. Additionally, you've secured a $1 million loan also from insiders. How do these transactions affect the company's debt and working capital?
The refinancing with the EDC, because interest is capitalized, it increases the long-term debt. However, okay, it's towards the benefit of the company. The conversion, the debt to equity conversion, helps the company's working capital. And so it's debt that never has to be repaid because it was converted into stock. And the $1 million that was borrowed is to give us the funds to do the transition from commissioning to ramp up. So that was the purpose of these transactions.
That's certainly a better financial position to be in. Let's talk about your progress on the Hawkesbury facility. Can you provide more details about the ramp up for this facility and highlight the remaining challenges standing in the way of it reaching full commercial scale?
We finished building the plant in late 2022. Okay, all the installations were done. In January 2023, we started the commissioning of the equipment. As you start to use the equipment, you find out certain challenges that need to be overcome. So it took us the better part of 2023, or if you like, all of 23, to overcome these challenges, these uncertainties. And we, in most cases, and in fact, in all cases, we have overcome. I don't want to get into the details of it, but now in 2024, we have begun a more aggressive ramp up, and that's what will bring us to commercial and to be able to not only shred tires, but generate revenues, make the products that need to be sold. We are generating revenues today. I think the month of February will be a month based on what we're projecting in terms of sales, but we still have some challenges to overcome. And when I'm talking about challenges, I'm talking about, for example, carbon black. Some customers want a certain particle size. Other customers want a different particle size. So we have to make our equipment flexible enough that we could serve the customer and give them the product that they want. So these are the kind of things. And as we go along, we will overcome them. And this will bring a greater value to our products, greater value in terms of sales and revenues. And it will help us in our future endeavors when we want to build more plants. We will have overcome. So it's a learning curve.
It is. There are many lessons learned there, indeed. You've recently issued an impressive press release regarding your Texas expansion. Ecolomondo has managed to secure a volume cap for an $80 million bond from the state of Texas. How did you manage that?
First of all, in Texas, there's a need. There's a lot of tires in Texas. Texas has a population of 43 million people. Approximately 17 or 18 million tires are being recycled. The rest of it either are being discarded into landfills or burnt or just stockpiled. So we went to Texas with an idea, like I mentioned earlier, we will serve a purpose, and to take the scrap tires that are burdened to Texas right now and convert them into recoverable products that are sustainable, it was easy to convince some of the stakeholders there to support us in this endeavor. So, and that's how we were able to secure this. We've been at this for 3 years. We've covered pretty well all of our bells and whistles that we needed from offtake. We're very close to our off-takers. There's the tire supply is there. Okay. We have the support of the local authorities. The land was secured. I mean, I can go on and on. We're ready to go on this.
Yeah, Ecolomondo will certainly play a critical role in the state. And speaking of which, let's discuss your Shamrock facility. What did you learn from building Hawkesbury to benefit the construction of Shamrock?
Well, as I indicated before, okay, this is a technology where you can't take chances. You're dealing with hydrocarbons. You're dealing with a lot of machinery. You're dealing with gases. You're dealing with this employee safety. So you can't cut any corners. Okay, and we've been able, from our experience in Hawkesbury, to overcome and to ensure that we have an efficient, safe technology. And these plants are built to be robust, and they're self-operating. They're fully automated. So whereas our competitors are doing other things a little different, they serve purpose too, don't get me wrong, okay? So we try as much as possible to eliminate the human interface in the technology. You can't eliminate it all, but you can eliminate a good part of it when it comes to the TDP. So we've learned a lot. We also know that we can be much more cost efficient in our building of these plants. Keep in mind, Hawkesbury was first of its kind. So, you know, like anybody else, mistakes are made, but like I said, we overcome and we're able, okay, to bring all of this learning and technology to Shamrock and make it much more efficient at a lower budgetary cost.
And this really shows in your ambitious plans because Hawkesbury is a 2-reactor facility, whereas Shamrock, you plan to build a 6-reactor facility. Can you elaborate on how you intend to do that?
Well, look, we built in Hawkesbury, we built a 2-reactor facility because the tires that we could garner were for 2 reactors. In Texas, we can the feedstock supply, we can get it for 6. However, our technology is modular. So all we have to do is the engineering company that will build it will only take 2 modules, the 1 module, which is a 2-reactor line, okay, and build 3 of them. So they don't have to re-engineer. They don't have to do anything with regards to the TDP. The TDP is what is proprietary to us. Everything else is equipment that's off the shelf. So that is a very important thing because there's no duplication. We don't have to re-engineer. We don't have to. So all the changes that we've done in Hawkesbury, we'll be able to implement them in Shamrock. And this will also speed up lead time delivery. So not only will it reduce the cost, but it'll make us build these plants a lot faster because engineering plans are costly, but they take a lot of time to develop.
Yeah, and you are certainly perfecting the process. You mentioned earlier that there is a lot of need for what you produce. So let's talk a bit about your outlook for your offtakes for both facilities, Hawkesbury and Shamrock.
Well, we're always working on offtakes. We have offtakes in the Hawkesbury. plant. We get the tires. We have a tire supply. We have long-term offtakes for the steel. We have long-term offtakes for the oil. The carbon black, we have several customers. The needs of each customer is a little different. And so we're making changes to our carbon black processing line to be able to cater to the different customers. In Shamrock, where we're building the plant, our off-takers, our oil off-taker is maybe 100 kilometers away. So Cabot, which is a customer of ours, is also in that vicinity. So we're well positioned in Hawkesbury for the oil and the carbon black. We are the steel. Our present client in that or off-taker that's buying the steel now has very large footprint in Texas. So we expect to sell them the steel, and the tire supply is there. So it's a great location. One of the key factors that drove me to Shamrock originally is that the competition, the current recyclers, they can continue doing what they're doing. We just went into an area that the feedstock supply was there, and the other recyclers had a very low footprint there. So we're not competing. We're just adding on to the recycling and this green renaissance that's happening right now.
Yeah, the demand is certainly robust, but I want to ask you a question about the market. North America seems to be different for the pyrolysis industry compared to the European market. In your opinion, what creates this distinction, and do you believe that Europe is further ahead than North America?
Well, if you look at the metrics in different companies, et cetera, the value of companies, pyrolysis companies in Europe are 2, 3, 4-fold what the value of companies similar to Ecolomondo are. Okay, so that's one big difference. So there's a little bit, even though there's not enough, there's more capital available to it. Okay, the governments themselves are more into it. Subsidies are easier to get. They participate in terms of shareholders. So it gives a lot of confidence to other investors. You know, you have companies, tire companies that are investing, not heavily, but are investing. They've started. In North America, there's fewer players, and there's little capital available to it. So the only way you can, and the market cap of the companies are a lot lower. So because the support that they need compared to what they're getting in Europe is minimal. If you look at Europe also, if you look at the carbon credits, in some areas of Europe, you pay over $100 for a carbon credit per ton, 100 euros per ton. Here in North America, it's almost non-existent, very minimal. You see, these are all things, these are all factors that play into, and they also play into the value of the company. So you got to be very innovative. You have to make sure that you stay steadfast to your cause and make quality products that your off-takers will pay a higher premium. Example, at Ecolomondo, what we do is we compact the steel to make it easier for handling, etc. Our off-takers pay us more money for it. So the market in North America is really, really only at its infancy. How many companies of pyrolysis companies are there? There's not that many. There's maybe 3 of them, you know. And believe me, everybody has the same problem: lack of capital, including Ecolomondo. Okay, But at least Ecolomondo's got people that actually believe in it, because a lot of startups, especially in pyrolysis, begin and end up not ever getting to commercialization. So in Europe, companies have a much better chance of succeeding because their market cap is much higher. Like I said, 4 or 5 fold. There's companies that are further behind in their plans and are worth 4 times the amount. So when they want to go to the capital markets to raise money, it's an easier sell for them. So that's what I see in terms of the difference between North America and Europe. Europe is much more ahead in recycling, much more ahead in the circular economy, much more ahead in a variety of other issues, which we won't get into at this point.
Yeah, that's a really interesting insight, especially when it comes to company valuations. And this brings me to my next question. Simply put, what is your take on where your current stock price is at this moment?
Look, I'm a major investor in the company. I've supported the company. I believe in the company. Okay, I believe in the technology. I believe in the people that work for us. We've overcome many hurdles. Okay, and what I don't understand is that the stock price was higher when we were building, and now lower that we built. That for me is I don't understand. Okay, why? I mean, I know perhaps the reasoning. People, it's been a long time. COVID lasted a long time. I don't want to blame it on COVID, but it's one of the major factors. It eroded capital. We at Ecolomondo have not gone back to market every 2, 3, 4 months. We go to market when we need to go to market. However, for us right now, going to market at a stock price that I don't know where it is, 22, 24, 25 cents, it didn't make any sense for us. At one point, we'll have to go back to market. But the stock price for me today is a bit of a disappointment.
My last question. Let's look at your whiteboard and your plans. What's in store for the rest of 2024 for Ecolomondo?
Well, like I said before, we're going to stay the course. Our ramp up has begun. People have to understand, even though I say it's a ramp up, okay, we're starting to generate some revenues. We're going to, increase the ramp up. February, right now, mid-February, we're expecting to go to 2 batches per day. And I believe that, the chances are very good that we'll be there. 2024 for me is a year where Ecolomondo Hawkesbury will be up and running. It'll be shredding the tires. It'll be doing the batches. It's going to be selling the product. We hope to generate the positive cash flows and set the stage for the Hawkesbury plant, the Shamrock plant. So Shamrock right now, it's from our investment bankers that are working there to the stakeholders, the local authorities, that we're all working, at a very, very fast pace to get this done and to start sometime in late 2024. 2024 is going, I believe, is going to be a great year for us, and we're looking at other opportunities also. So, but one step at a time.
This looks really encouraging, and there are many milestones to keep an eye on, certainly. So certainly we wish you all the best of luck. Let's now move to questions. I encourage attendees to post their questions now so that we can address them all as they come. Let's start with the first question we have here. Are we able to get an update on how effective the recent upgrades were at Hawkesbury? In other words, has the loading and unloading of the reactors improved since the upgrades?
Well, we've improved the unloading, okay, and it's improving all the time. We went from 8 hours down to less than 3 hours. Okay, we're increasing our payloads in our reactors. We just received the blower that we need that will be able to load the reactor in under an hour. So we've overcome those hurdles. We have the technology and we have the equipment in-house. And the unloading's all been installed. The loading part will be installed. But we've improved the loading considerably even since then. With the present equipment we had, we were loading the reactor in about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Here is another question. Can you give us a preview of the other countries you are in talks with on potential business?
Technologies like Ecolomondo's and companies like Ecolomondo serve purpose. So we're in discussions with several locations in the U.S. right now. We're in discussions with England, Australia, Europe, South America. The only thing that's stopping us from going full speed ahead right now is to get the Hawkesbury plant fully commercialized. And then people could come and see for themselves, not only see the plant, but see, the success, which is critical in this, and especially in a startup and in new technology.
Here's another question. I have noticed that Ecolomondo is listed on the TSX under waste management. Could that description be revised?
We were looking at that. It wasn't us that selected that category. It was the TSX venture when we went public. But this is something definitely that we can pursue.
Another question, two questions actually. How do you see the overall offtake market evolving? Is there any one of the streams that you see presenting more of a challenge?
Recovered products is based on need, and it's based on what the customer, their corporate profile, what do they want to do? So need, they're buying cheaper products that serve the same purpose. It's a business decision. But you do have companies that do look at their green environmental footprint, carbon neutral. Ecolomondo is ISCC certified. So all the products that we produce are considered sustainable. So companies look for that. And any company like our off-takers that we have today, most of them are ISCC certified. So they actually get credits to buy sustainable products from us. So I see that market, and I see the future of that market quite bright. So more and more people are using recovered carbon black. More and more, the oil is being sold, and they're making products with it. It's being sold as a chemical, not as energy. So these are our recovery rate at Ecolomondo is actually quite high for a pyrolysis company. So these are all things that people look at. And that's what drives value to your sustainable recovered products.
Once Hawkesbury is fully running, how many projects does Ecolomondo plan to build each year moving forward?
If it was up to me, I'd build many of them. It's all balancing. You need capital. We have to look at the shareholders. If you raise it on the capital markets, then they get diluted. Dilution is a factor for an investor. Hawkesbury, we opted to go through debt to avoid dilution to the shareholders, because more stock, less. If you're not generating revenue, your stock price initially goes down unless your metrics take over and you can show that shareholders, even though they've been diluted, they're going to do much better. And overall, they will be. Now, as Ecolomondo gains momentum, it will translate into that. I'm quite confident as we go along, stock pricing will go up, because we're going to be able to show that these companies can make money by
the Canadian government offering any assistance to start up companies like Ecolomondo?
Our loan came from the EDC, which is owned by the Canadian government. The EDC has been a great partner for Ecolomondo. I can tell you they listen. I can also tell you they don't agree to everything, but they have been there for us, as you can see from the new deal we just made. So the government itself, if we take away the aspect of the EDC as a partner for Ecolomondo, I don't have anything negative to say. But if we look at the other aspect, capital in any business, but in startups, in new technologies, in the new renaissance, I made a speech a while back and I said that waste was going to be the next gold, and that's the case. I think the Canadian government, without being too negative, could be a little bit more proactive for companies that are in startup and that are capital intensive.
We're waiting for more questions. We still have a few moments left, so if any of the participants today have any more questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box.
Well, Munir, I think we did a great job in explaining what Ecolomondo is all about, and the simple fact that we've had great participation today. Few questions means that the shareholders, I'm sure they received clarity in the topics that we discussed.
We have one question that just came in. Do you have an anticipated shutdown schedule for maintenance?
We're actually doing maintenance right now. Maintenance at Ecolomondo is on an ongoing basis. And what we do is when we schedule maintenance, we don't shut down the plant per se. We shut down a section. And at the same time, it's still a work in motion here. Okay, so if we come up with an upgrade that we want to do, then in that section, we perform that upgrade when we're doing our maintenance to save on time. Maintenance is extremely important in any business that has a lot of equipment. It just doesn't keep going without maintaining it, cleaning it, especially when you're processing waste, hydrocarbons. Right now, we're doing maintenance right now on 2 departments, and it will be finished early next week. But the other departments work at the same time.
We have a few more questions now. Can the pilot plant in Contract Core be upgraded to operate and add to the company's revenues?
The plant in Contract Core can be upgraded. It takes millions of dollars. We've learned that in Hawkesbury, 21st century technology has to be brought to a plant that was built 25 years ago in 1998. And over the years, regulations, standards were different. So if we have to, there's a decision that would have to be made. Do we spend $5, $6, $7, $8 million upgrading that? Or do we take $5, $6, or $7 million and use it to build another plant that's more modern? So rather than fixing, building something new. Because these volume cap bonds in the United States, every state has that option. Okay? You apply. If you're fortunate, you get it. If you don't, you're not fortunate, you don't get it. I believe the direction of the company is to expand into the US, whereas our competitors are expanding in Europe. So at one point, there's going to be a certain amount of cross-vergence. So, at one point, they're going to be coming to North America, and we're going to be going to Europe. We hope to be the leader in North America, and same way some of the other players are going to be the leaders in Europe. At one point, there's going to be a global leader in the industry. But the industry is huge. So you don't need one player, two players, three players, four. You can have 20 players, and they can all be extremely successful. It depends on the ones that want to have a global footprint. Ecolomondo is one of them that wants to have a global footprint.
When do you expect to reach full production of 4 batches per day?
Look, I hate going on the line. We're working full throttle to get there before the end of the first half of 2024. So if I can do it the first quarter, I would do it in the first quarter. Believe me, nobody wants to see this place succeed more than I do. I've been at this for 16 years. I've never taken a penny in salary. I've invested a lot of money into it. So I'll do the best that I can, and my staff, my team. At Ecolomondo, Hawkesbury, we're over 20 people. And I believe we have another 6 or 7 that are starting in the coming couple of weeks. So we're almost there in terms of staff. So we've got to start selling this product. But you have my commitment. I'll do the best that I can to get it there as soon as possible.
If we are anticipating 2 batches a day by end of February, how many batches per day are we expecting by end of summer? And the other question, how many batches does Ecolomondo plan to do at Hawkesbury each day per reactor? Also, the goal for February is to run 2 batches per day per reactor. Is that correct?
So our goal for February is to start 2 batches in mid-February. That is what it's our goal. I indicated earlier, right now, there's nothing that tells me that we're not going to be there. We hope to be fully ramped sometime in the first half. And at that point, we're going to be doing 4 batches per day, but we're increasing our payloads per reactor. So this is our plan. When the metrics have changed, we have to adapt with changing times. And changing times, pricing for the offtake, the products, they're very high compared to when we started building the plant. So our game plan is to do 4 batches a day, and taking into consideration there's a lot of room for improved efficiency as we're going along. But at 4 batches a day, we achieve the financial deliverables we want to achieve. So as things move along, efficiency improves, employees are better trained, they understand the process, efficiencies will improve, and the economies of scale will improve. Our feedstock will improve. There's many things that we can improve. Our plan is to operate these reactors, start generating some positive cash flow, and put less of a strain on unneeded capital. And when we go for raises, it's either to build more plants, or the raises will be very, very minimal because we're generating positive cash flow. Everything right now is in motion. I would love to tell you where I'm going to be, but I can tell you that these machines are working. They're doing their job. Just thermal expansion of the steel. There was a whole learning curve. These are different machines. These are much more modern machines. I mean, you have to take into consideration if you put 15,000 pounds, 16,000 pounds, what is the thermal expansion of the steel? It takes not minutes, it takes weeks of calculations, weeks. So I'm doing things the right way, safeguarding the environment, and I'm proud of our achievements. And like I said, we didn't get there when we should have, and I'm the first one to say it. But I can tell you, I wouldn't put 100% of the blame on the company. The situations, and like I said, COVID had a major role to play in it, and it brought things to light that we didn't anticipate, unfortunately.
We have two more questions. Unfortunately, we don't have time for more, but I'll just go through them very quickly. At what percent of payload capacity are the 2 batches per day going to be running in February? Example, 2 batches per day at 50% capacity or higher?
The batches that we're doing now are 15,000 pounds minimal. We have a reactor that's loaded right now that's 16,000 pounds. We've already gone up to 17,000 pounds. So we're not back to January 2023. We're in January 2024, where we've overcome all the hurdles of the thermal. We're looking at things now like self-cleaning. You're making oil, the piping. So we have systems now where we're going to self-clean the piping. These are the kind of things we're looking at. We're not looking at increasing our payloads. We want to increase our payloads, but 15,000 pounds, we haven't done a batch less than 15,000 pounds in months.
It's a very future-oriented approach. The last question is about short selling. Is Ecolomondo aware of any short selling attacks on the stock? And if so, are there ways to minimize it by limiting the amount of stocks available to be borrowed?
Well, the problem that I see, and again, I'm an investor. I'm not an investment banker. Okay, I'm not a stockbroker. Our stock is one way or the other could be manipulated with somebody selling 500 shares at 2-3 cents. If you look at the December, where our stock hit an all-time low, okay, what happened? Our stock is listed on the TSX Venture. It trades on another 5 or 6 platforms that the investor, unless he's a broker, does not see. So our stock is not trading on the TSX, zero, same price as yesterday, but on the submarkets, the pricing is either higher, and all the selling happened there. So the short sellers, even if they short sell, it's not the big rollers, because the big rollers want to make hundreds of thousands and millions. They don't want to make dollars. Okay, so the problem that I've seen is some of our shareholders sell small quantities because somebody else drove down the price and they panic and sell. That's what I see. But the biggest weakness is that the stock markets, okay, in my opinion, okay, why doesn't the TSX Venture show how many shares actually traded on all the markets and show the price that's actually the high or the low of the day on any of the markets? Now, the small investor or the regular investor knows exactly what's going on in the stock. You look at today, I don't know, let's say 10,000 shares are traded. Maybe on the submarket, 20,000, 30,000 shares traded. We don't know because we don't get the reports. You need to sign up for a certain service and then you'll be able to get it, or you need to know where to go, etc. The regular investor doesn't have the time and doesn't even know about it. So the short selling, yes, there's a bit of manipulation more than anything else. And then you got these icebergs where they put 1,000 shares for sale at one price, and then there's another 15,000 for sale. They sell the 1,000, then another 1,000 comes up, another 5,000. So these are all things that shouldn't, in my opinion, should be outlawed, but supposedly it's legal to do. So we're living with those consequences, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. I don't understand why our stock is at such a low price when the company has so much to offer, and the stakeholders around it believe in it. The EDC, Shamrock County, the insiders, myself, you know. So we got a lot going, but it would be much better if, for everybody concerned, any shareholder can drive the stock price up if they buy it. But our shareholders have lost a bit of confidence, which I understand. You know, money's hard to come by, and it's their God-given right to, once they buy stock, they're allowed to do what they want, to sell it and buy more, sell it, or whatever. So it's up to us to deliver on the future, and our stock price is low. The only thing that's going to make it go up is the results, and we're striving towards that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eliot, for the insights and explanations. We do hope this brought a lot more clarity to today's participants. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of today's session. I appreciate everyone who dedicated their time to join us for this engaging webinar. Should there be any questions we didn't get to, feel free to explore Ecolomondo Interactive Investor page for more information. You'll find the link in the chat box in a minute. I'd also like to remind you that this webinar has been recorded. The recording will be accessible for future viewing on both Ecolomondo's and Global One Media's YouTube channels shortly after today's event. Please keep an eye out for our upcoming webinars to stay informed about the latest developments at Ecolomondo. Thank you again, and we wish you a pleasant evening forward.
Thank you, Munir.